Okay, so let's get in here and pick a bit of this chickweed that's growing in my garden, and then we will cook something with it. Now we need to be careful, as I mentioned in my previous video, because there are several different weeds here growing. There's chickweed, which we do want. Chickweed's very easily recognisable. It has these nice little starry white flowers, and on the stems there we'll just see a little line of hairs growing up one side of the stem. So chickweed we do want. Thanks, Eva. Now the weeds we don't want to pick, here's one of them here. This is sun spurge. Quite toxic, so we just will pick with great care. Now it is quite recognisable. Sun spurge is quite a different plant, so let's have a close look at that here. It is quite a different plant. As long as we don't pick handfuls of this stuff, we're going to be just fine. So that's sun spurge, quite different to chickweed. I noticed we've also got a couple of other little plants in there. So we've got a little speedwell as well. Very pretty little plant, but we won't be picking that for the table. So let's just get in here and pick some of this nice chickweed. I'm just checking it all over just to make sure that we're only picking the plant we want, but also I'm pulling off the roots as I pick as well, because then it'll be easier to clean. Eva! Right, I'm just cooking for myself, so I think that'll probably do for now. So I've got about half a colander full of chickweed stems there. Nice, fresh green pieces. Let's close up the vegetable patch again now so we don't get doggo in there digging. Hello. So that's the chickweed we picked. Now chickweed's quite a low growing plant, and although this looks nice and clean, there will be some soil splash on there. So what I'm going to do is just plunge all of that into some cold water here. That will help to keep it nice and fresh anyway. So we'll just put all of those leaves into cold water, and I'm just going to leave them to soak for a few minutes, which will loosen any dirt that's on them, and then we'll give them a couple of rinses, and then we're ready to cook. That will also give me a chance to start making a dipping sauce to go with these. Okay, now my dipping sauce that I'm going to make today is just going to contain 3 ingredients. Got these tiny little chilies that I grew in the garden. Super hot these are. So we'll have just a few of those. Just have 3 because they are rather potent. So I'm just going to chop those very finely. Trying to be careful not to get them on my fingers, because fingers go in eyes, and chili fingers in eyes, not much fun, I can tell you. Okay, just a little bit of chili in there. So we'll just put that in a little tiny mixing bowl. Now that doesn't seem like an awful lot of chili, and I know there are people out there who like things hotter and spicier than me. But believe me, these chilies are really quite potent, and that I think is probably enough for me. Next, we're going to put in about a tablespoon of damson jam. Now this damson jam was given to me by some friends who I gave some wild mushrooms. So that was a sound investment. And lastly, just a little bit of dark soy. just to loosen it up and to give it a little bit of salt. And so we're just going to mix those things together. Now, and that needs to infuse for a little while before we can taste it. So back to the chickweed. Let's just have a look and see what's coming out of there. Yes, as you can see, there are some little bits and pieces of debris, dirt, possibly one or two small invertebrates coming off of that chickweed. I can also see some chickweed seeds in there. Now, chickweed seeds are very interesting, so I'll save a couple of them and I'll show you what they look like under a microscope. They're really quite pretty when you look at them close. So we'll take this chickweed out now and drain it and give it a rinse under running water, I think, as well. So that's the rinsed chickweed. Now, there is still quite a bit of residual moisture clinging to that, so we will just have to allow for that in the batter mixture that we're going to make to coat this. Just while we're here, those little brown specks in there are the chickweed seeds. So, and here's what they look like under the microscope. Pretty cool, huh? So we're going to make a light batter to coat this chickweed. So I think probably about 2 tablespoons of self-raising flour. There's not going to be much because it's not going to be a thick batter. Just 2 tablespoons is fine. And I'm going to add some spices to that as well. So I think we're going to have about 1/4 teaspoonful of ground cumin and about the same amount of fenugreek. Now you can use pretty much anything you like in this batter mixture. You can spice it any way you like, or not at all if you like, but I just thought cumin and fenugreek is a kind of slightly curryish flavour. So I'm just going to combine those spices in and make sure they're mixed in okay. And next, without adding any more liquid at all, I'm just going to snip this chickweed straight on top of the flour. I'll show you how that works in a minute, because we've got all this moisture on the chickweed, and what I don't want to do is make a wet batter and then add more moisture to it and find that it all falls apart and doesn't cling to the chickweed. So just discarding the stems and using the sort of leafy tops mostly. There we go. I'm also just going to snip in there some chives that I picked from my garden. Again, optional component, but we'll snip that in for a bit of extra flavour. Okay, now I'm just going to toss that together first so that that flour kind of coats all of that wet chickweed. Those spices smell good. Okay, that way we can see how much liquid we have to add, which is not very much at all. So I'm just going to add, it's probably only about a tablespoon of water. Let's try that first. Just going to add a tablespoon of additional water just to make that flour stick a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and we can see that the chickweed is starting to form together with the flour into lumps and clumps. That's fine because we're going to fry it in little bunches in some oil. I've just got a small amount of oil, probably about 1/2 centimetre of oil in the bottom of this pan, heating up, and we'll just test that by using one of these stalks. It is fizzing and crackling a little bit when it goes in there, but I think we probably need to be still. Oops, maybe not. Yeah, I think we're probably at temperature now. Now, splatter guard on standby because this could be messy. Let's give this a try then. So, I'm just going to take a little handful of my coated chickweed leaves and dump them in the oil. Yeah. Oh, that was surprisingly less violent than I thought. And we'll just press those down. I think we could probably get a couple more going. Just press those down so they join together a little bit more. It's good, I can see the flour all puffing up there. Let's just make sure we're not going to burn it. So flip them over. They've broken up a little bit, but that's fine. Okay, those are looking really nice and crispy now. Just taking a little bit of colour on there. We're just flipping over one more time to make sure we crisp all the sides. They fell apart a little bit more than I expected, but that's not a big deal. Those bits there are done, they can come out. Okay, and we'll just take them out of the oil and let them drain a little bit before transferring them to some kitchen paper. And let's get the next batch in. The oil is possibly a little bit on the hot side, it's smoking, so okay, let's have a little sneak preview of one of these. Really good. Let's try a bigger one. Oh wow, I might have to stop or else those aren't going to make it to the table. Okay, so let's just give these a try then. So, yeah, they didn't stick together quite as well as I hoped they might have, but they are still, as you can hear, crispy and sort of crusty and rustling and so on. I could have probably made more batter and coated them a bit better, but never mind. It's an experiment. Okay, let's try one of these with a little bit of that dipping sauce on there. That is really, really, really good. Wow, those little chilies are powerful. But there we go. That's fresh wild chickweed from my garden, made into spicy fritters with damson chili dipping sauce. Now, of course, you'll probably be wondering what this tastes like. Chickweed's not a very distinctive taste. It's like a very mild spinach. So most of the flavour in here is the spices and the batter and the sauce, but it's really tasty. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.